afternoon and Happy New Year. My name is Sheila Lamb, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions across the Commonwealth. We provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one advising services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Cyber Resolutions 2025, Securing Your Small Business for the Year Ahead, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. We are recording today's presentation, and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted and the chat feature is turned off. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box, and we'll adjust them at the end of the session. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your own meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session, Kiana Gainey. Kiana is a 20-plus year IT and cybersecurity industry veteran and has served as Chief Executive Officer for SecureTech 360, located in Springfield, Virginia, since its inception in 2010. She is also the Cyber Industry Specialist for the Virginia SBDC. Welcome, Kiana.
Thank you, Sheila, and welcome to everyone and Happy New Year. So let's dig right in. I know we all had our resolutions, some did vision boards, and we did all these different things prepared to come into 2025. So our hope and our plan today is to give you some small tips to take to your small business to help put those in your cybersecurity resolutions for your small business for the year ahead. Next slide. So thank you for the introduction. Quick overview. We'll just go over some tips and some tricks. We'll talk about some of the things that's going on in the climate as it relates to cybersecurity and help get you prepared for the year ahead. We'll take questions at the end, and then we'll leave some contact information and some resources and next steps so that you can have some things and goodies to take along with you. Next slide. A little bit about myself. I'm also a small business owner, and I also had some experience working in the nonprofit sector as well. And I also do a lot of work in the federal government. So I have a little bit of knowledge in all these different areas. So my goal is to be able to give some of that knowledge to you today. Next slide. So as we kick off 2025, the biggest thing that we can do is to strengthen our cyber defenses. Just a couple quick facts. Cybersecurity is very crucial for your small business. 43% of cyber attacks are now targeting small businesses, which means they're impacting our finances, coming after our reputation, our customer trust, all the things that we spend a lot of time building. The stakes are high, the impact can be high. Some small businesses are reporting that 60% of them close within 6 months of a major cyber attack. One thing that we all have in common, regardless of our size, is prevention. So we'll give some tips today to help you have some prevention in place, because that will be key to being resilient as we build those strong cyber defenses. Again, our goal today is to equip you with that knowledge and those tools to protect your small business, and then also connect you to some resources for some ongoing support. Because as you know, like with anything, I know we have our New Year's resolutions and we put together like we're going to lose 20 pounds and we're going to do all these different things. And we know that a lot of that, even though we have those great intentions, we have to plan for those things. And we also have to get in the gym, right? You can buy all the workout equipment and even buy the clothes. And I know I have my water bottle that's about yay big. And I say, I'm going to do all of this, exercising and strength training. But if I don't get up and actually go to the gym, it doesn't work. It's the same thing when you think about building a cyber resilience for your small business. Next slide. So a couple of top cyber threats that's happening in 2025, something that's going right from 2024, ransomware attacks are on the rise. Ransomware attacks they encrypt your critical data and sometimes demand payments, but it's not necessarily always about payment. Sometimes it's to try to ruin the reputation of the actual people that they're trying to steal the data from. It can also just be, now it's even used as a form of terrorism to try to make to crash certain systems. You see it on the news every day. We have everything from the water supply crisis to airline delays to your sensitive information somehow, was taken from some type of, maybe one of your banks. You receive something in the mail, so you're seeing it more in real time, and it's happening in more real time. Another one is the phishing scams, is very popular right now. They're tricking your employees to reveal sensitive information, and this can happen regardless of the size of your business. One thing that you can use is employee training. Regularly training your employees, it has been found that it gives you a success rate up to 60%. That's a great odds, especially with the type of information that these phishing scams are using. They're using them to reveal sensitive information, but they're also using now what they're calling AI enhanced phishing scams. And you've seen them where the emails, they look very similar to a trusted source, and they're usually saying, do something now. They want some type of immediate action, or they want you to click on some link to take you to another site. Same type of attacks, they're just getting a little bit more sophisticated. So we have to train our employees and even ourselves to be able to see an email, even if it's from like a trusted source, because I know I've been guilty of it. You'll see something come across and, oh, that's from so-and-so. And then you go and you click on it, and then you look at it, and there's maybe one or two things that seem a little off, but maybe it's saying, click on this link or go to this site, or it's trying to take you to do something right now. And then as you start really looking at that email and really like breaking down the subject bar, breaking down the email address, you'll see that one or two things are a little bit off. So those are things that the employee training can help be able to see that more in real time and help you as you get those phishing attacks and what to do in the event that something happens. Next slide. Another one is supply chain vulnerabilities. It's very popular for anyone that's in that nature of business. They're really attacking a lot of the smaller businesses because they want to sometimes get to the larger businesses, and they'll think that most small businesses do not have the resources. And it's not necessarily that you have to have or spend a lot of money on these, sophisticated systems or doing all this additional work. It's a lot of things that, regardless of your business, that you can do to help with protecting your supply chain and also protecting your third-party vendors. It could be everything from putting together rules of behaviors for your supply chain partners to making sure that they have some training in place as it relates to your IT applications or devices that you're using, or anything that you're using in relation to the supply chain. NIST have a wonderful supply chain risk management guide that can help you be able to identify those risks and put together a plan and be able to share that plan to even some of your vendors or even some of your employees so that they can understand what risks are involved and how to be able to plan. As you can see, that's going to be a key theme around here. Is planning and prevention is very key to being able to stay on top of these cyber threats for 2025. And then one other thing is insider threats. That's the misuse of access by employees or contractors. You may have some employees that may have more access than others. And those are ones that you should identify if they have more privileged access or more access to sensitive information. Make sure that they get training, and maybe some additional training can help with that. Another great resource is the CERT Insider Threat Center. They have a great resource guide there that can help you be able to put together insider threat training for your employees, and then also put together some other policies and procedures to be able to know what to do in the event that something happens with your employee or even sometimes your contractors, that you get access to the system. One big tip that I've learned, even regardless if it's been in federal agencies or even with small businesses, when you're giving someone privileged access, when that individual leaves the organization, make sure you do anything. I don't even care if it's just a 1 or 2 page policy that kind of state what to do when they leave and when you should cut off access. What access did they have? Do you have an idea what access they did have so that you can cut it off in a timely fashion? You'll find that a lot of times people will leave the organization, and even during the out processing, they don't process that individual, and then that access is left open. So that's just a little tip that you can use within your organization to add that to your out processing checklist as well. Next slide. So a lot of best practices to strengthen your cybersecurity. practical steps for your protection. We're gonna say that I'm gonna keep foot stumping on this, is educating your team, conducting those regular cybersecurity training to raise the awareness, implementing things like strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, using complex passwords. Also can add a second layer of security using that multi-factor authentication. We all use it, or we have a code or something sent to another device, or that you can use in real time to make sure that once you are within the system, let's say you're using your username and password, and then you want to use another form of authentication to be another second layer of security. That's very effective as well. Regularly backing up your data. There's a lot of cloud options that you can use to back up your data. But in addition to backing up your data, one thing I've seen across the spectrum, regardless of the size of the organization, is regularly testing those backups. I've seen people who've got very sophisticated backup systems, but then they don't test the backup. And then when they go to try to restore from that backup, they find that the backup was actually corrupt. So making sure that you're regularly backing up that data is great, but also testing that data is also another great way to strengthen your cybersecurity. And then if you have the budget, invest in antivirus software, use some of the security protections within the application or device that you're using. A lot of them already have some level of security in there. Make sure that you use those as well. If you have a firewall, use a firewall. Make sure you do your research on any other things that you use within your organization, the antivirus, the firewalls, read the reviews. I know anytime I look for a new software program for my organization, I make sure that I read the rules of behavior, one, and two, that I also use the reviews of the actual users who've used it to make sure that it's been something that's been able to work for their environment as well. Next slide. And then here, again, there's some affordable strategies to build that cyber resilience, the basic cyber hygiene, educating your team, doing those regular cybersecurity training, doing those regular updates, using those complex passwords, backing up your data. All those different things can help, especially when you're dealing with ransomware, and even sometimes system failures are great tools that you can use. They don't cost a lot, just a little time. Also implementing the right policies and procedures. I like to do things even when I have a new employee. I do things when they're first in processing to make sure that they're getting some cybersecurity training. And then we do them regularly within our staff meetings. And then I subscribe to a lot of different cybersecurity organizations to try to get the most up-to-date information about different risks that are happening, different things that are happening in the news. I'm always taking notes. So just keeping it as a part of your everyday culture, because it's something that's not going anywhere, especially because most organizations, regardless of the size, is using some form of technology. And I always say the perfect marriage with technology is making sure that you have a resilient cybersecurity program to go along with it. Next slide. So again, here's some affordable tools and antivirus that you can use. I talked about Google Drive, Backblaze is another. You can also invest in certain antivirus and firewalls. Again, make sure you do your research, to make sure there's a software program that can detect and also prevent malware. So you want to be able to have something that can detect it and also prevent it as well. So you want to have something on both sides of it. And then also something that can give you alerts in real time so that you can stay on top of that. Because also outside of putting together preventive tools is also in the event that something happens, is being able to respond in real time, making sure your employees are trained on how to respond, when to respond, how to make sure, like everything I talked about even earlier with you receive a phishing email that seems a little off, what that looks like. Google has a great phishing training that's free of charge that you can use within your organization, that gives like some phishing tips that you can look through. They'll also even put together some emails, and then you can look and see, and then you can kind of figure out almost like a crossword puzzle. But even as small, and it may seem like, oh, that won't make a difference, it makes a big difference when you're using those in real time, and you're keeping that a part of your security culture. You're keeping that a part of your culture for your organization. Next slide. Oh, again, responding to cyber incidents. Number one, outside of having a security plan, outside of having a very comprehensive business plan, is having an incident response plan. Why this is important? Because it helps you to identify and contain. It also helps, studies have shown it also helps reduce data breach costs. The average cost now is in the millions, which is beyond, because mostly you don't really realize the impact of a data breach until after it happens. Understanding what to do and who to report to can also be very crucial. It can also minimize your legal penalties and also to rebuild your customer trust. We've seen them when we've had an organization that we've used, maybe a larger organization, and you'll see something that happens or they had a data breach, and the first thing you're like, well, what's happening? You want them to be able to report in a timely fashion on what's happening so that you can kind of, they can rebuild that customer trust. But also it helps minimize some of the legal penalties for some of my small business who are, have some compliance. Maybe you have HIPAA regulations that you have to comply with. They also have, time that you have to report. So making sure you put that a part of your incident response plan as well. Also, the recover and review. 38% of small businesses never recover from a data breach. What that means is that most of the times they didn't really have a plan in place. They didn't have things or steps to be able to help them recover in the event that something happens. So this is very crucial. And then I've had some of my small business owners who have benefited from using things like cyber risk insurance. You may have the coverage already within your business insurance now, but that's something that you can reach out to your insurance broker to see. And then also maybe just get a quote. There are some that are very inexpensive and there's some that are very expensive. So do your research, make sure it's within the budget. I know as a small business owner, every dollar counts. I'm a small business owner, but this is something that I would invest in, especially if I was dealing with sensitive information. Next slide. So again, some key takeaways. I know we went through this, very quickly, but preparation is definitely key. Implementing proactive measures, doing those regular employee training, also doing regular security audits. And that could be something as simple as doing a self-assessment on your organization, which is everything from looking at all of the devices and technology and applications that you're using. I like to put everything on one page where I can see what is my critical assets? What are my assets that if I did put together an incident response plan, what would I bring up first? How often I'm doing my backups? Who's in charge of that? I put together a roster of all of my contacts who I can contact in the event of an emergency. And I don't necessarily leave that plan. I also print out a copy. I know we all try to save the trees, but I also like to print out copies of my incident response plan, and I put them somewhere outside of my organization. So in the event that I can't get in to my organization, I have that as well. So those are just some small tips that you can use as well that help you to minimize some of the risk, but also recognizing the cybersecurity threats and how they impact your small business. So understanding if I'm a small business that, work in the supply chain, understanding all of the regulatory compliance that goes along with that and what cybersecurity threats or risk are also very important, because that will go and key into your planning, and then that will go key into your training, and then that will go key into keeping that security first culture going within your organization. It would also help you with staying proactive and safeguarding your business against, known attacks or things that are happening. I know we can't prevent everything, but again, preparation is definitely key. It also helps with making sure that if in the event that something happens, that our employees are prepared, you're prepared, even if you're just a party of one, keeping yourself educated as a small business owner is very key to your growth. Making it a part of one of your growth strategies for 2025 is very key and crucial to making sure that you build a cyber resilient 2025 for your small business. Next slide. So in conclusion, regardless of the size of your business, cybersecurity is a must for every business. I'll say it again, it is a must for every business. Securing your business, protecting your data, making sure you keep that customer trust will strengthen your business over the long term and have long-term resilience and success, being prepared for the unexpected, having that response plan, investing in cyber insurance, Knowing your emergency contacts can save time and money in the event of an emergency. Cybersecurity is one of those, I like to say, it's one of those buzzwords that you've heard over the years, but more and more as a small business owner, it is something that's here to stay. It goes hand in hand with technology. As technology advances, we have the advancement of AI and all these different types of wonderful tools. I like to use them. They're like wonderful tools that we can use in our small business, but we have to understand how it relates to the cybersecurity risk that could impact our business. So, educating yourself, be proud of yourself that you took some time today to even come and learn more about how to be cyber resilient. That's the first step. But keeping this going by making sure that you are, doing regular cybersecurity training for yourself and your employees. I like to set up Google alerts for anything dealing with my small business as it relates to cybersecurity, but all as it relates to any regulatory compliance things that I have for my small business so that I can stay abreast of it. And then I also recommend that once you put together a plan, the plan, regularly check that plan, test that plan. Also, speak to your employees, let them have some buy-in on what's going on within your organization. And then also I put together a metrics on things like a number of phishing emails we received, in the month of October, the month of how many, were we successful? Were there ones where we didn't, someone actually clicked it? Let's talk about why did they click it? What did they see, in that email that made them feel like there was a trusted source? Those are things that I do within my own organization that doesn't cost me anything. It goes a part of my weekly or bi-weekly staff meetings. These are discussions that we keep going. But I don't want you just to put together a plan. I want you to also test that plan, educate yourself on that plan, update that plan, at least on a reoccurring basis or at least on an annual basis. Next slide. So I know we covered a lot, but is there any questions?
So far, Kiana, we had one question drop in. It actually came in before you quickly addressed this on a slide. So I'm going to go ahead and still say it because I'd like you to elaborate a little bit on it.
Okay.
What antivirus software do you recommend?
So there's a lot out there. I know we have for years, you know about Norton, you know about McAfee. So I would say, depending on what type of business you're in, what type of customers you have, how many employees you have, they have everything from enterprise licensing to subscription-based licensing. So do your research. They're both great products. I've heard pros and cons for both. So it's really mostly a personal preference. And then there's some new ones that are out there. There's the ones that are, for a lot. I don't like to use the word cheaper because cheaper just sounds cheaper, but I like to say affordable. There's some other affordable options out there as well. So again, if there is a newer or one that's outside the two that I mentioned today, do your research, right? Because if it's something that's new, make sure that it's the best pairing for your organization. Read the reviews. I know I'm a Google review. I read my Yelp reviews before I make it. It helps me make the decision because I like to know what the community is saying about that product. So, do your research and make sure that you're picking the best thing for your budget based on your organization and based on your organizational needs. So don't pick one blindly because that's what someone else said. Do your research as well. That's what I would recommend.
Great. Let's see. We had another question drop in. I have not yet decided what hardware to use for my small business. I just started my LLC. Oh, it just be about me for a while, so I'm not sure the question here.
So I can try to attack it and see.
Okay.
So when you're just like with the antivirus question, as you're thinking about growing your small business, I've been that small business owner when I was my own employee, my own CEO, my own CFO, my own CTO. I was all those things, right? What I would recommend is, depending on what type of business that you're going into, do your research again and find out, what popular devices or most used devices for that particular industry. So for instance, I know a lot of people that are into like heavy graphics and they're doing a lot of podcasting, and they're doing a lot of, marketing materials that need a lot of different pictures or different, with great graphics and all those different things. So they would use an Apple versus using, a regular PC. So those are those type of decisions. And then also, maybe in the beginning, if you're saying, hey, my budget only can allow this or that, pick something that you can use, but also make sure that whatever you select, that it does have some level of security within it. So meaning if, I've seen the ones where you'll get a bundle deal now where they'll give you a year worth of a subscription to maybe a antivirus software and an application on your device. Take advantage of some of those things as well, but kind of do your research and then also talk to other small business owners. That's one that I love having a community. Usually when I'm making a decision about what to do for my small business, I also talk to other small business owners to see what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And you'll be surprised. And people say, oh, please stay away from that brand. It was horrible. It crashed on me every week. Then you'll hear someone, they'll say, oh, this worked for me better because, I needed something that had, higher graphics. So that's why I went that direction. So again, do your research, use the community, speak to the other small business owners, and you'll be surprised.
Thank you. Yeah, so the attendee who asked that question went on to say that she just wants to make sure that there's no danger yet. So I think you covered that. If not, Rachel, please go ahead and ask another question, and we'll make sure we got you covered there.
Yes.
And we don't have any other questions at the moment. So if you all have questions, use Kiana's time right now while we have it and pick her brain. I'm
Yes.
going to go ahead and share some links that Kiana has given us.
Yes, I would say yes. So here's some wonderful links and resources. I know, like she keeps saying cybersecurity awareness training. There's a lot of cyber security awareness training that's out there that's free of charge, complimentary. Use those. There has been, I even saw today that President Biden put together an executive order for cybersecurity. So these are things that are happening in real time that's benefiting even small business owners. So there's organizations that are dedicated just for small businesses. So the SBA has a wonderful resource. Our website, I'm doing a shameless plug, Virginia SBDC also has great resources, training, webinars, all things that you can think about that's free of charge, that's there for you to use. Utilize that as a small business owner. There's so much information. SANS is another great resource. Federal Trade Commission is one of my favorites, and I love the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, which is known as CISA. Amazing resources, great things that you can use. Just to get you started, they have a lot of things that can get you started and some things free of charge.
And as a reminder, you all will get these slides emailed to you within a couple of days with the recording as well. So you will have all of these links handy for infinity. So
yes,
keep them handy.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think so Rachel wanted to say, I think security is everything. Otherwise, it's just me and no revenue plan. So,
right.
Yep.
Yes,
Let's see.
yes.
All right. So any other questions? And Kiana, do you have any, if nothing pops in, do you have any
just some
last
closing
minute
remarks,
like wows or something that can stick with us? And
yes, so prevention
have.
is key regardless of the size of your organization. And even like Rachel, who's just starting out, this is great. Before you even get your first, device, you're here, you're asking questions, you're educating yourself. That's what it's all about. Building that culture, building your knowledge base in areas that are not maybe your strong suit. And then in times, maybe as you grow, you may bring in a professional, but there's things that you can do on your own just to educate yourself as a small business owner. Just how you put together your business plan, put together a cybersecurity risk plan, put together an incident response plan, or even just incorporate those things into your business plan and just keep it going. The whole purpose, I know, was you start the new year. We have all these New Year's resolutions. It's the same thing with cybersecurity. The way you start your year, just keep it going, and you'll see the benefits of it year long.
Great. Kiana, thank you so much. Thank all of you all who were able to join us today and kick off this new year and be cyber safe.
Yes.
As a reminder, you're going to get an email with a link to the recording and to the slides. Then let's see, if you would like to sign up, sorry, I got distracted, sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. This webinar and other SBD resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. And so, Rachel, I think I saw you pop something else in there. I would say if you would chat some more too with Kiana, please reach out to her because I know she can probably talk all day about this and help you out. So,
Yes.
I think that's it. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful January, and we will see you next month. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.